As we welcome you inside the RW Begg Senior Gymnasium for tonight's Wednesday night men's conference bout between the St. Francis Fightin' Saints and the Viterbo V-Hawks here on the V-Hawk Sports Network. I'm Cooper Lipsky, glad you could join us here on this Wednesday night. Should be an entertaining contest between these two sides here tonight. As of St. Francis Fightin' Saints, they come in 18-7 overall, tied for the second best record in conference play at 13-5 here this season, as they look to pick up another win to keep pace with the top spot in the CCAC. With everybody's chasing Governor State right now as they look to pick up a victory. As for Viterbo, a victory much more needed for them here in this one tonight, as they have lost their last 6 conference games. Their last win coming all the way back on January 24th, as they'll look to try to rectify some wrongs here tonight against a very good St. Francis squad. Taking a look at the starting 5 for both sides, starting with the St. Francis Fightin' Saints. It'll be the 5'9" senior from Louisville, Kentucky, and Delshawn Sims, and the 6'2" senior from Lithia Springs, Georgia, in Joffrey Nanali. Then the 6'3" redshirt senior from Juliet, Illinois, in Dakota Jokum. Then the 6'6" senior from Chicago, Illinois, in DeMarcy's Moore. And then rounding it out, the 6'10" redshirt senior from Ipswich, Australia, the wonder from down under. It's Merrick Small getting the starting nod here in this one. As a Fightin' Saints, coached by Ryan Marks in his 13th season, assisted by Rock Allen, Tony Graves, Glenn Hoffernan, Dominique Nelson, Jalen Renault, Avi Shapira, and Ramel Davis. As for the Viterbo V-Hawks here in this one, they'll line up in their usual starting 5 with the 6'1" junior from Bloomington, Wisconsin, in Braden Krubel. Then the 6'2" sophomore from Mineral Point, Wisconsin, Landon Thousand. Then the 6'1" junior from West Salem, Wisconsin, Carson Kepnick. Then the 6'5" senior from La Crosse, Wisconsin, and Colin Adams. And then big man down low, the 6'6" sophomore from Highlands Ranch, Colorado, in Trayton Fletcher. As we're ready to rock and roll, Viterbo, coached by Wayne Wagner, assisted by Robert Kunitz, Scott Kepnick, Andrew Lockington, Taylor Hansen, Jackson Shaw, and Alex Burns. As the V-Hawks will be moving from left to right on your screen. As for the Fightin' Saints, already getting it down to Small down low. We'll put up the first points in this one, off to a 2-0 start for the Fightin' Saints, donning the gold uniforms here tonight. Is already off and running, as here's Landon Thousand, tries working off to his left, gets it back on top to Fletcher, hands it off to Colin Adams, backs down his man, able to dish it back out, shot clock down to 10, looking to attack here, Landon Thousand, tough in defense, working against him is Jokum, able to kick it out, another drive, shot clock down to 4, able to kick it out to Kepnick, quick pass on top, off the front of the rim, no good from Braden Krubel. As walking it up the floor here is DeMarcy's Moore. More prolific rebounders coming off an 11-point ball game against St. Xavier in their last matchup on Saturday, entering into this one today. Ball fed up high to Small, who's able to dish it back down low to Delshawn Sims, who is cutting. Already 4-0, St. Francis in front. As here is Colin Adams, gets it on top, works it quickly to Kepnick, gives it right back. They work it all the way back, and now even deeper in that far corner to Krubel. Now looks to the elbow. Here is Fletcher, hands it off to Kepnick. He'll try to attack. Kicks it back out to Adams, now over to Thousand. Feeds it inside here to Fletcher. Fletcher with the shot clock down to 4 against Merrick Small. Able to wrap around him, won't get the ball to go. But Krubel collects a rebound for a moment. Ends up pushing it out of bounds inadvertently. The Fightin' Saints in quite a battle right now, battling for that top spot in the CCAC. They're tied with Indiana South Bend and Olivet Nazarene, all at 13-5, with Governor State at 14-4. A loss for St. Francis, bumping them out of that first place spot against St. Xavier, where they were on a 7-game win streak before that 77-74 overtime loss. after coming off of a big win against Olivet Nazarene. As Small retrieves it down low. Tries to work past Fletcher and does. A little up and under. Won't get the roll to go his way, however. As Thousand up the floor now. Takes it back out. And they work it to Kepnick. Now back to Thousand. He'll try to attack. Little defensive mismatch against the tall height of Fletcher, or of Small, but able to feed it to Fletcher, who can't finish. 4-0 here from the get-go. The Fighting Saints have never lost against Viterbo in 4 matches prior. As fighting for it is Kepnick, ends up coming away with a foul as DeMarcy's Moore hits the deck. A full slate of CCAC men's basketball action here on this Wednesday night as the inbound makes its way to Delshawn Sims. Sims, a senior out of Louisville, Kentucky. Previously played at Olney Central College. Has a pass inside to a cutting Dakota Jokum. He scores easily now, 6-0. Viterbo still looking for their first bucket of the contest. Thousand works it to Kepnick, over to Adams. Pump fake, he'll try to attack against Moore. Stuck underneath the hoop here, looking for Sebastian, able to get it back out. Here is Krubel, now to Kepnick. Fires it over to Adams, gives it right back. Shot clock down to 10 again. Thousand tries to drive, feeds it inside. Here's Fletcher working down low with a hook shot. Won't get it. Another miss here in the early stages of this one. 6-0 score remains for St. Francis. Merrick Small now with a bounce pass out to Nanali. Now looks down low to Moore. He'll just pop it, won't drop it. As he steal after the rebound. Shot is up, shot is no good from Delshawn Sims. 40% from beyond the arc this season. As Thousand on the other end will take a three. He won't get it though. Sims with the rebound, walking it up the floor for the Fighting Saints. Gets it on top with a bounce pass, finding Small. Small, back to Moore. Moore gets some space, fires up the three. Another miss. I think that's 3 in a row now for both sides, shooting the long ball here in the last 3 possessions in total. Trayton Fletcher dribbles off to his left, hands it off to Thousand. Thousand takes his time, finding Krubel. Now over to Adams. Gives it right back, and they work it around the perimeter. Kepnick, he'll try to attack. Goes nowhere with it, however. Gives it back to Thousand. Almost trips till firing it to Adams. Shot clock down to 5 now. Adams in the lane, puts it up. Won't get it. Rebound by Kepnick. Goes up, and he'll get the points. The first 2 points of the night for Viterbo. It is 6-2 with 15:20 left here in the first half. Now the Fighting Saints looking to respond. Able to get it down low to Small. 2-time player of the week in the CCAC. Able to kick it back out. Here is Nanali. Decides to roll it to Small, who comes and collects it. He'll ask to give it back to Nanali. He'll accept it. He'll pop the long two, and he'll drop it. Joffrey Nanali. 55% from the field this season. Averages 16 points a game. That leads the team. Only had 10 against St. Xavier. Season high 26. As on the drive, Kepnick goes down. And a foul. The first team foul against the Fighting Saints. So that will step away with a timeout on the floor as Viterbo looking to get going. Slow start in this one. 8-2. St. Francis in front with 14:43 left to play here in the first half. You're watching CCAC men's basketball on the V-Hawk Sports Network. back here on the V-Hawk Sports Network. 8-2 the score. St. Francis in front of the V-Hawks here with 14:43 left in the first half. I'm Cooper Lipsky, welcoming you inside the R.W. Beck Senior Gymnasium. Of course, it's about that time, postseason time in the CCAC with conference tournaments and whatnot. Viterbo, unfortunately, will not have postseason basketball. First one up and good from Carson Kapnick. He's got all 3 points for Viterbo so far. He's looking to pick up a fourth here. Trying to knock down the second, and he will. 86% from the line. He leads every shooting percentage on the team. 49% from the field, 44% from three, and 86% from the free throw line this season. And he's only a junior, so at least got one more season. Ball floated inside to Small, able to pop it back out to Grayson Harrington, who tries to drive. Dishes it back out to Nanali. That's not the man you want to shoot a three if you're Viterbo. One of the best three-point shooters in the conference. Lucky to come away with a miss there. As on the drive, Adams goes up, won't get it to go. Calls from the fans saying that there was a whole lot of contact. Wayne Wagner upset with it as they kick it to the near corner. Wide open, Justin Morgan. His three ball won't drop. Rebound by Landon Thousand up the floor. He comes marching with it. 14 minutes left here in the half. Colin Adams over to Thousand. Thousand taking his time here between the leg dribble. Kicks it to Ogunsanya. Ogunsanya off the bench and on the board with a three. Makes it a 1-point ball game, 8-7. 13:40 left to play here in the first half as Grayson Harrington up the floor running the point. Gives it off to Joffrey Nanali. Now dishes it off to Casper. Gives it right back on the handoff. Nanali. Now back to Casper. He'll try to attack near side of the lane as Watson able to get a hand on it. Kicks it to the near corner. Nanali's three won't go. Score remains 8-7. Four different scores for the Fighting Saints, all on the board in this one, all with 2 points. Here's a drive by Thousand, goes up, off the glass, no good. Merrick Small, the Australian, collects the rebound, kicks it up the floor. Here's Harrington running the point once again. Dribbles into his right, into the lane. Dishes it back out to Nanali, now looks back to Harrington. Feeds it to the high post as Voigt in defense won't do nothing to stop Small. Able to dish it off to Connor Casper, who picks up 2 points, makes it 10-7. 5 different scores, all from inside the arc for the Fighting Saints early on in this one. As Jack Voigt trying to get it off to Watson, can't find him. Lex for Thousand, looks for Ogunsanya. 10-point ball game with 12 minutes left to play here in the half as a drive by Thousand has it stripped loose by Casper, and it will be last touched by Thousand. As Ibrahim Mobayed, a 6'7" redshirt junior from Plainfield, Illinois, comes on for the first time here in this one for Merrick Small. As Harrington on top to Nanali, works it to Casper. Casper rips through with the left hand, able to hand it off. Nanali pulls up from the free throw line, won't get it to go. Rebound by Kapnick. One pass forward to Watson. Now looks up the floor to Johnson. As they work to Ogunsanya, he'll fire the quick three. Won't get this one. Ball remains loose. Johnson and Voigt trying to fight for it. Casper comes away with it, and a foul is called. Not quite jump ball, and it'll stay Viterbo way. So Dakota Jokum back out onto the floor, taking over for Joffrey Nanali. Was a Defensive Player of the Week back on December 2nd when he got those honors for Nanali. It's on the inbound. Johnson drives back out. Kapnick. They work it back to Johnson. Pops out. Tries to hit a cutting Watson. But the ball just a tad bit behind. Not by too much. It was a great look. But the defense, I don't know if you've noticed it so far in this one, very tight from the Fighting Saints side. You see why they are one of the best in the conference. only allowing 69 points a game defensively, which is best in the CCAC, and a turnover here from Kepnick as the shot clock expires. But St. Francis, along with the other 4 teams in contention right now, with Governor State, St. Francis, Indiana, South Bend, and Olivet Nazarene, have all locked up a home matchup in the first round of the CCAC Conference Tournament. All hosted local sides. Great backdoor cut by Jokum. Won't get it the first time, but the second time is good. Leads away now with 4 points on the team. 12-7 with 11 minutes left here in the first half. Watson dishes it off here to Voigt. Hits it inside to a cutting Cole Johnson who'll finish. Johnson now with his first 2 points of the matchup. Makes it 12-9. Fighting Saints still in front by 3 with 10:37 left to play here in this one. Their largest lead, I believe it was 6 points early on. As Mobayet able to hand it off here to Jokum. He'll pull up. He's feeling himself in the last couple minutes, but won't get that one to go. As Kepnick up the floor, running the point. Gets it to Voigt. Voigt will set up the offense here. Couple men cutting for the V-Hawks. As Kepnick with a pump fake, he'll drive, kicks it far corner. Johnson 3-ball, won't go. But Voigt, right place, right time. Ball falls to him. Ogun Sanya now. V-Hawks working around the perimeter to the far corner again to Johnson. Now to Kepnick. Shot clock now down to 10. Johnson, he'll try to attack. Almost lost a handle, able to dish it off to Watson. Drives in, draws a lot of contact. He'll head to the line here. And I believe we'll have free throws when we come back. Timeout on the floor. 9:52 left to play here in the first half. Viterbo trails St. Francis 12-9 here on the V-Hawk Sports Network. .52 left to play here in the first half. I'm Cooper Lipsky as the Viterbo V-Hawks trail the St. Francis Fighting Saints 12-9 here from the RW Beck Senior Gymnasium. As Jacob Watson led to the line here, 78% this season. Small sample size, however. When you've played 18 conference matchups, he is 14 of 18 this year. He's missed the first one. Viterbo as a team, the worst free throw shooting team in the conference at 63% as a whole. Second one up. This one is good from Watson, however. He'll be on the board as Jack Hennessy makes his way on. The freshman out of South Milwaukee, Wisconsin, has shown a lot of promise here in his freshman season. Averaging 4 points per game, but he is known to be a spark plug off the bench when it comes to perimeter shooting. Connor Casper now gets it off here to Mobayet. Tries to drive. Mobayet with a bounce pass back out here to Jokum. Jokum back out on top to Mobayet. Mobayet hands it off to Morgan. Morgan puts up the shot. He says he was hit. Ball nowhere close to the hoop. Falls to the grasp of the V-Hawks. Trey Fletcher back out on the floor now. Slides it over to Kepnick, who can't hit that one. As one pass forward, trying to get through some hands as Braden Krubel able to get a finger on it, tip it out of bounds. As Colin Adams back out onto the floor, taking over for Cole Johnson. But as we talked about, a whole slate of CCAC men's basketball action here tonight. Holy Cross on the road against Trinity Christian as the inbound finds its way to Mobayet. Byatt back on top to Jochum. Jochum tries driving. Able to hit a cutting Harrington. Puts up the shot, won't get it to go. Fletcher with the board. Hennessy wants to push for the moment. Able to get some space here on top. Able to find it inside to Krubel. Pops out. Krubel now. Gets it inside the silo there to Fletcher. Hands it off to Adams. Shot clock down to 8 now. Kepnick looks for Hennessy. Pulls up. No good on the long two. Rebound won by Mobayan. So here's Harrington. My apologies. That's Jochum up the floor. Only saw 1-1. Here is Harrington. Standing in no man's land. Feeds it inside of Mobayan. Working against Fletcher. Able to dish it back out to Harrington. Works off to his right. Tries to drive. Picks up his dribble. Dishes it off to Casper. Casper with the shot clock down to 5. He'll put up the shot. He's blocked by Adams. Gets it right back. He's blocked again. Ball's saved as the shot clock expires. And Viterbo with a good defensive presence on that drive. But other games in the CCAC here tonight. St. Xavier on the road against Calumet, Indiana South Bend, and Indiana Northwest. St. Ambrose taking on the conference leader, Governor's State, and Judson taking on Olivet Nazarene. Olivet Nazarene take on that Judson squad. After this, they got Indiana Northwest. Governor's State with a pretty easy road to win the conference outright in the regular season. They got St. Ambrose tonight, and then Judson on Saturday, so can easily clinch it up. They have clinched themselves a first-round home matchup. Of course, top 8 teams, and then from there it dwindles on down to 2, and then eventually 1 lone champion. 2-point ball game here as a feed inside to a cutting Jochum. Lost a handle on it on his way up, and it went out of bounds by him, so it'll be Viterbo ball. So you look at the two teams on paper. As the Fighting Saints average only about 75 points a game, which is 10th most in the conference, with Viterbo at dead last at 71. Goes to show that this one might be a little bit closer than you'd expect coming in if you just take a look at where the two teams sit on the conference standings table right now. But Trayton Fletcher will try to knock this one, or try and knock both of them in to draw even at 12. He'll sink the first one. Fletcher only had 2 points against Indiana South Bend on Saturday. Also had himself 5 rebounds in that one. Fletcher trying to make it a 12-12 ball game here. But he won't. Unfortunate roll in and out of the rim. Turbo remains down in this one ever since about the first 15 seconds of the matchup. As the ball flipped out wide here to Sims. Sims floats it inside to Moore. Moore working against Adams. Backing down his man. Fletcher flies in to poke it away, but he takes one to the nose as the ball tumbles out of bounds. Last touch by Fletcher. As Joffrey Nanali makes his way back out onto the floor, as well as Merrick Small for the Fighting Saints. Fletcher comes off. Jack Voigt back on. Voigt did not play against Indiana South Bend. Outside of that, he's appeared in 24 games this year. Flip to the top of the key. Jochum, a 3 ball, no good. As Krubel will walk this one out of bounds and a little flick up. As Ogunsanya gets the inbound to give it right back to Krubel to run the point here. Working off to his right here is Krubel. Tight defense, however, by Sims. Trying to get some space. Works off his screen, gets some space. Puts up the long 2 off the base of the rim. Falls to Merrick Small. As here is Nanali with a crossover. Tries to attack. Picks up his dribble. Flips it back out to Small. Nanali tries to drive. Able to get it back inside to Small here. Working against Voigt. The height difference evident. Small. The Australian working down low. Won't get it to go. Adams collects it. Immediately wants to push up the floor. He'll do it himself, and he'll score. Colin Adams, we talk about it all the time. If that was his free throw where he could take on 3 guys, I tell you, he'd be 100% from the free throw line. Viterbo with their first lead in this one. 13-12 is a drive. The shot's too far underneath the hoop for Nanali. And Krubel collects the rebound. One pass forward to Thousand. He'll try to go all the way. He will, but won't score. Ball falls to Nanali. He'll run the point here. 5 minutes, 30 seconds left in the first half. Viterbo with an early lead. And yet their only lead in this one. The ball trying to get inside, but better position was Voigt. He'll get the steal. Thousand walks it up the floor. Dishes it off to Krubel. Now looks for Adams. Adams. Now to Krubel. Over to Thousand here on the wing. Double team for a moment. Able to dish it down low to Adams. Adams in the paint now. Working against Small. Able to wrap around him, but can't use the backboard to his advantage. So here's Delshawn Sims now. 1 point separates these two sides. Viterbo in front. Delshawn Sims unloads, but can't get it to go. Saints, the second best three-point shooting team in the conference at 38%. Haven't found a whole lot of luck here. Neither side has hit or only one person has hit a 3 so far in this one. That was Jonah Ogunsanya. Another squandered possession for Viterbo. Is up the floor now to the corner with Jokum. On top here to Moore. Feeds it inside to Small. Small with a bounce pass out to Nanali. Back to Small. Skips it back to the near side of the floor. Looks to the near short corner with Moore. His shot won't go. Thousand up the floor. Able to dish it off. Voigt goes up. I think he wanted to slam it, but couldn't quite get up. Regardless, largest lead of the night for Viterbo. 15-12. Tough night shooting right now for the Fighting Saints. Nanali holds it. Able to get some space here. Works off a screen to his right. Dishes it off to Sims. He'll try to attack. Loses a handle on it, but a bit too much touch from Jack Voigt in defense. An easy call for the official right there. But we got a timeout on the floor, so we'll step away. Viterbo with their first and largest lead of the night. 15-12 with 3:38 left to play here in the first half. As you're watching CCAC men's basketball on the VHawk Sports Network. Back here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium, the penultimate matchup here at home for Viterbo. They currently lead, second best team in the conference, 15-12. I'm Cooper Lipsky. Take a look at the team totals in this one. Slow shooting affair as the Fighting Saints 6 of 22, Viterbo 4 of 16. The difference right now is Jonah Ogunsanya's three-pointer, as Viterbo 1 of 6 from beyond the arc. As for St. Francis, 0 of 7. So tough going all around. Of course, for Viterbo, they've had to face the staunch defense from the Fighting Saints. As for the Fighting Saints, they just haven't been able to make anything. As a late call, but probably a justified call, as Justin Morgan's drive will result in 2 at the line. One of those where the official had his whistle down by his chest, had to pull it up. First one up, first one good for Morgan. Morgan with his first bucket of the night, coming off of his season best against St. Xavier. Won't sink the second one. 13 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, all season highs for him this year. 2-point ball game now, 15-13. Viterbo in front. Last time these two teams played this year went to overtime as the Fighting Saints collected the 83-79 victory. That was well before the Fighting Saints really got hot in the later part of the season as the dish inside to Watson puts up the shot at the buzzer and won't get it to go. As now double teamed over there is Delshawn Sims, able to find it inside to Morgan. His drive won't go in. Story of the night for the Fighting Saints. Have plenty of drives and attacks at the hoop, but can't get anything to fall. Sometimes here at the Begg Senior Gymnasium, all it takes is a change of the floor in the second half. Watson, great find inside to Voigt, but better defense by Merrick Small. And they must have reset the shot clock accidentally. Coach Ryan Marks on top of it in his 13th season. Rocking the Guayabara shirt here tonight. 4 pockets, 1, 2, 3, 4, all in the front. It's a great shirt. Connoisseur of the finer things. So there is 9 seconds left on the shot clock. Perhaps, or now we'll move it down to 8. And we'll be back to playing here. One of those things, I assume, where the ball came loose. Eyes were off the floor for a moment as Thousand tries to drive, won't get it to go. Merrick Small collects the rebound. And they'll kick it up to kick it up to Moore here. Moore feeds it inside. Small tries to work. Strip from behind, ball comes loose. Thousand collects it, dishes it off. Nice aerobatic finish by Colin Adams. Now up to 4 points in this one. Tied for the team lead alongside Carson Kepnick right now. Goes to show you what the scoreboard can tell you. Low scoring affair in this one. Either side having a standout player so far in this one, but a finish like that might put Colin Adams on the radar here. As DeMarcy's Moore backs down his man, kicks into the corner, and Justin Morgan collects the first made three-pointer in this one for the Fighting Saints. 17-16, Viterbo remains in front with a $1:20 left to play here in the first half. Adams backs down his man, dishes off to Kepnick, looks to Krubel, far wing, 3 ball, no good. Small with the board, finding Sims to walk it up the floor. He'll try to get past Kepnick, drops him to the floor for a moment. As Small now putting in the work against Voigt, able to wrap around him. Merrick Small now with 4 points in this one. Tied for the team lead with Dakota Jokum. Fighting Saints back in front. Adams fires up a 3. Did not look good. As I say, at the end of the St. Francis bench, letting Adams know that I think the wind caught it. Somebody left the door open. 18-17, St. Francis in front, final 40 seconds of the half. Here's Morgan, gets it back out on top to Moore. Now to the wing to Nanalik. Tries to float it inside and will to Small. Small going to work against Fletcher, back out quickly. Gets it right back. Small now, shot clock under 10, he'll get the finish. 6 points and a timeout taken, a 30-second timeout from Ryan Marks with 18 seconds left here in the half. As the Fighting Saints have stormed back 20-17, they lead here on the Viehawk Sports Network. Back here in front of the RW Begg Senior Gymnasium, 20-17 the score. Fighting Saints back in front in this one. Talking about the low-scoring The low score on the scoreboard right now, both teams shooting under 35%. St. Francis 31%, Viterbo 24%. Both teams at 12% or 13% from beyond the arc. Both teams 1 of 8 here in the early stages. Krubel, long touch football pass forward to Adams. Adams blocked on his way up. He'll try again. Not this time. Maybe a third. And a foul. Some fans ecstatic. Wanting the foul on the first couple of attempts. Maybe in the second half, some of those quote-unquote blocks or quote-unquote fouls, as Adams got the yips right now. Another air ball, this time from the free throw line. As Kepnick comes off, Watson in his place. The final 10 seconds here in the first half. Trying to make it a 2-point ball game. Second one up, second one no good. Fletcher almost able to poke that ball loose. And now the final 6 seconds. Up the floor here is Moore. Moore. Dish it off quickly. Harrington, 3 ball on the way. Won't go, and that'll do it for the first half here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium. 20-17 the score. St. Francis in front. Both teams, to put it bluntly, abysmal shooting in this one. Both teams under 32% goes to show. But things are subject to change here in the second half. I hope you stick around for it. I thought there was going to be a show at halftime. That must have been something else. I heard that, but sometimes you assume wrong, right? So we'll step away for the halftime break. When we come back, we'll have the totals from the first half in this one as Viterbo trails St. Francis 20-17. But, of course, we've got the junior Riverhawks out on the floor, ready to put on a show as we've reached halftime here on the V-Hawk Sports Network. Back here on the V-Hawk Sports Network at the break. 20-17, St. Francis in front of the V-Hawks here on this Wednesday night. I'm Cooper Lipsky, the second to the last regular season game in the CCAC. Going on all around the conference for a lot of teams here here tonight. Let's take a look at some of those scores. As Trinity Christian with an 87-73 victory over Holy Cross. Calumet with a 43-33 victory at the 43-33 lead at the half. At the break, Indiana Northwest 50, Indiana South Bend 45. St. Ambrose trailing Governor State 45-36. And then Olivet Nazarene in front of Judson just by a hair right now with about 11 minutes left in the first half, 21-20. So Governor State with a win. Not necessarily wrap up the conference yet. St. Francis were to win this one. Indiana South Bend were to come from behind. And if Olivet Nazarene wins their game, it'll still be one game lead going into the final day of the season. But we're back to action here. We ought to talk about some of the numbers in this one so far. As Merrick Small, 6 points, leads the way for the Fighting Saints. DeMarcy's Moore with 7, and the leading assister, Merrick Small, with 2. And starting the second half off with a bucket is Joffrey Nanali. Viterbo's leading scorer, Colin Adams and Carson Kapnick, both with 4 points. And then the leading rebounder right now, Adams, Voigt, and Thousand, all with 5. And the leading assister, Landon Thousand, as he usually is, with 2 here in the first half. Well, now we're underway in the second as Drayton Fletcher putting Merrick Small to work, but can't get that ball to go. Now back on the other end here. Sims out wide here to Moore. He'll try to attack. Gets underneath the hoop against Adams. He'll get the bucket. 4-point swing to start the second half. It's a 7-point lead. They look to continue to add to it here in the second half. Ball floated back out on top. They work it at 1,000. He'll rip through. Tries driving baseline. Won't get it to go. Small rises up to collect it. Merrick Small, 6 feet 10 inches tall, from Australia. Previously played at Cochise College in Arizona. Knew a baseball player, spent time at Cochise. And he's going to work here, and he's already got himself now 8 points in this one. Dynamite performance right now for Small in a low-scoring game. Nobody in double digits quite yet, but Small on his way as Krubel almost loses a handle on it. In defense against Sims, able to kick it back out. Fletcher, big man, big three, won't get it. Adams soars in for the rebound. He'll dribble it out of harm's way to get it back out on top. They swing it quickly here to Krubel in the corner. Gets it inside to Fletcher. Fletcher on the elbow, almost poked from behind. Able to stay strong with it. Hands it off here to Krubel. Now over to Thousand. Fires up the three, won't go as Kapnick with the rebound. Resets a shot clock. Adams going to try to drive. He gets hit on his way up. And he'll head to the line. So a 9-point lead here coming out of the halftime break for St. Francis. Not a bad start for them whatsoever. First one well short for Colin Adams, having himself a tough night. Another airballed free throw in this one. As the end of the St. Francis bench, loving it right now. Shot is up. This one off the front of the rim. Just short. As we talk about Colin Adams, 1,000-point scorer for Viterbo. Did it on the road in a tight ball game to collect that honor. Strong player all around, but when it comes to those free throws, that's where he has his most issues. As there he gets beat in defense by DeMarcy's Moore, as the senior out of Chicago, Illinois, a two-time Defensive Player of the Week in the CCAC, doing it on offense. 11-point lead now. Viterbo still looking for their first point. Driving baseline, Krubel powers his way up and in. Great finish for Krubel. Now on the board, me and my big mouth. Willing it in, or just wording it into existence, I suppose. Joffrey Nanali to Moore. Now over to Jokum. Inside, Small, rises up, won't get it. Tumbling to the ground is Adams, who collects the rebound. And a foul called against Moore as he picks up his second personal foul of the night, the second team foul here in the second half. But an 11-point lead, or 9-point lead for the Fighting Saints right out of the break. 1,000 trying to get his team back into it, skips it to Kepnick, now to Krubel. Back to Kepnick. Kepnick back to the top. Krubel tries to find a lane, kicks it on over to 1,000, to Adams, back to 1,000. Thinks about shooting, trying to get some space now. Shot clock down to 3. He'll attack. Puts up the shot, won't get it. Kepnick able to tip it back, but out of bounds it goes. Heading from a man, Alex Burns over there. Coach Burns sitting on the number 1 spot on the bench. Great guy. I assume his parents are listening. I remember he told me they do on occasion for his performance. No. Special shout out. 16 minutes left here in the second half as Small. Back out it comes to Nanali. He'll try to drive, stripped away by Kepnick. Kepnick, one-on-one, goes up. He's blocked. But a foul is called before the block. Will go down as a goaltending. So Viterbo does get the 2 points. See my man, no way, I've got his back, he's got my back. Comes to the matters of getting the scoreboard right on the screen. As here on the other end, kick to the near corner, the 3 ball knocked down by DeMarcus Moore, heating up here in the second half. Slow start, no points in the first half. He's off to quite a bit here in the second. 10-point lead now for St. Francis. Trying to attack, here's Krubel, powering his way in, won't get it to go. Voigt tries to tip it back up and in for the V-Hawks, but a rebound by the Fighting Saints. Here to the near corner as 1,000 getting a bit too much of Joffrey Nanali. 15 minutes, 4 seconds left to play here in the ball game. Turbo with 4 points out of the break and 11 points for the Fighting Saints out of halftime. As Delshawn Sims set to inbound, floats it into Small. Gets it on top here to Jokum. Coming out to collect it is Sims. Feeds it back inside to the Australian. Small going to work, stuck underneath the hoop, double team, doesn't matter. Goes up, he'll head to the line with the foul from, I believe Jack Voigt's going to be the culprit here, and they're going to give it to Krubel. Regardless, it's a timeout. When we come back, he'll shoot at the line. 31-21, 10-point lead for the Fighting Saints out of the halftime break. With 14:51 left to play in this one, you're watching CCAC Men's Basketball on the V-Hawk Sports Network. From the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium here in La Crosse, Wisconsin. St. Francis leads 31-21 over Viterbo. I'm Cooper Lipsky. Glad you could be here on this Wednesday night. Second to final game of the regular season. For both sides, one team on their way to the postseason, the other one playing for the love of the game and for their teammates. That being Viterbo. Second one up, second one no good from Small. Splits his time at the line, 32-21. Back to an 11-point lead for the Fighting Saints. Tied for their largest lead in this one. Here is Watson, able to get it down low to Voigt. Stuck underneath the hoop, powers his way up, able to get past Merrick Small. Comes away with the 2 points. Makes it 32-23. A palindrome scoreboard here in the second half. Sometimes, you get like a 67-76 game. As a shot up, shot no good. Whole lot of contact against Harrington. Now stuck in the backcourt here is Watson, able to break it up the floor. Bounce passes it here to Voigt. Voigt stuck underneath the hoop, kicks it out to Thousand on the wing. Watson comes and collects, finding Johnson now. Dribbles off to his left with a handoff. Krubel holds it. He'll try to split the defenders. Turnaround jumpers, good. Braden Krubel. His brother was a really good basketball player here, but I don't know if I necessarily saw Cole Krubel split two defenders like that, make a step back jumper. That's no dig, by the way, if he's watching. If I'm not mistaken, Cole is more of a perimeter shooter. As Small, stuck in the lane, gets grabbed by Cole Johnson trying to steal it away. An easy foul for the official, as that is the third team foul against Viterbo here in the second half. As Justin Morgan, the freshman out of Coconut Creek, Florida, makes his way on. A couple of subs coming off for Viterbo, including Kepnick on, as well as Fletcher for Voigt and Krubel. Johnson in defense against Casper, gets it on top here to Small. He'll dish it out wide on the wing to Nanali. Nanali feeds it inside to Small. Feeds it to a cutting Connor Casper. Reached up for the dunk. Didn't have the run-up necessary. 34-25, 13 minutes left to play in this one. Well in the Fighting Saints' hands right now. But crazier things have happened. 13 minutes left to play in a basketball game. Fletcher retrieves it. He'll hand it off here to Thousand. He'll pull up with a little floater. He'll get it to drop. Landon Thousand now on the board. A couple more points for him here in this one. 34-27 the score. 12-32 left to play in this one. Trying to get back into it, but Joffrey Nanali, an assassin from beyond the arc. As we mentioned, third best three-point shooter in the conference, gets them back to a 10-point lead. Thousand on the near wing, but a whistle blown and a foul down low. Call this one on Merrick Small. Small leads the way on the team with 14 blocks this year for a big man. Relatively low amount, I would say, but perhaps that's more towards Ryan Mark's coaching. Straight up when you're down low, so you don't cause a foul as you would trying to block a guy. That arm swings down as Trayton Fletcher gets the inbound. He gets hacked from behind by Ibrahim Obayan. Maybe that's what I was onto something there. So Fletcher will head to the line. Fletcher, 51% from the line this year, 24-47, only a sophomore. First one up and good. That's the thing about this Viterbo side. You look up and down the roster, a couple of seniors, a couple of juniors, a whole host of adequate sophomores. As the next couple seasons roll by, they're only getting better for the conference. Of course, that's the thing. A lot of these CCAC basketball sides, well-adjusted. They've been here for years. Viterbo, the new kids on the block. As there's a kick ball by Watson. Different play style than the North Star Athletic Association. They played a few years prior as Kepnick gets the inbound steal. Tries to race up the floor. He gets blocked on his way up. Ball falls here to Viterbo. Thousand with a three off the front iron. Able to win the rebound back Tips its way back to Kepnick. Now over to Watson. Gets on top to Johnson. Trying to steal it away was Morgan. The drive by Thousands, a clean one. The timeout, St. Francis will step away as Viterbo closes the gap. They trail by 6 now, 37-31 with 11:32 left to play here in this one as you're watching CCAC men's basketball on the V-Hawk Sports Network. Back here on the V-Hawk Sports Network, I'm Cooper Lipsky. 37-31 the score. St. Francis in front in this one. Coming out to a 17-point second half here halfway through it. As for Viterbo, start off kind of slow, but now have really picked it up and now find themselves down by only 6 points here. As they continue to march back, as we talked about, St. Francis had themselves an 11-point lead. But anything possible, as we mentioned, 13 minutes left in a basketball game. Only 2 minutes gone since we made that statement. So here's Mabayan in the high post, holding it. Bounce passes it out here to Harrington. Feeds it down low and not going to get a finger on it. Is DeMarcy's Moore. As it comes out of bounds. Or it'll be St. Francis ball. You're saying that it came off of a Viterbo foot. Now Wayne Wagner wants to talk with the official. And Ryan Mark's going to join in the conversation as well. I think he was wondering about the shot clock more so than that, as it did reset. 2:20. So here now down, working low. With it is Mabayed. He's able to push through a pair of V-Hawks and scores. 11 minutes left to play in this one. Viterbo trying to get back as Kepnick. Over to Watson. Watson calls out what he wants on offense, feeds it inside here to Fletcher. Fletcher to the far short corner, the handoff to Kepnick. He'll hit that one. Back to a 6-point ball game, 39-33 with 10:38 left to play in this one. As Harrington gets it on top to Nanali. Floats it into Moore. Hands it off to Nanali, drives in, hits the deck. He'll get 2 points, however. Makes it 41-33. 8-point lead once again. Viterbo sticking with them for the time being. Kepnick on top to Watson. Inside to Fletcher. Power dribble off the glass. No good. Tries to win the rebound back from Mabayed, but won't. Here's Moore to Mabayed. Tries working to his left. Kicks it off here to Nanali. Now looks inside. Here is Moore spinning off of his man and Johnson, but ends up with an errant pass. Landon Thousand, coast to coast. He'll score. Landon Thousand. Top 10 in the NAIA as a whole, averaging about 6 assists per game. He's third in the conference right now. That time around saying, I don't need to help anybody out. I'll help my own cause out. But inadvertently helping the team out, right? As Mabayed The shot clock down to 6. Here's Moore from deep. He'll drain it. DeMarcus Moore, 35% three-point shooter, hits a big one. Back to a 9-point lead for the Fighting Saints. As Thousand able to hit Johnson, tries to get it to the near corner to Watson, but just out of reach. Out of bounds it goes, and another timeout on the floor. So 8:58 left to play in this one. Viterbo trails 44-35 against St. Francis Fighting Saints. As you're watching CCAC men's basketball on the V-Hawk Sports Network. .35 the score. Viterbo trailing St. Francis here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium. I'm Cooper Lipsky. Glad you could join us once again. For the very end of the regular season here in the CCAC. Talk about the standings right now as it sits. Indiana Northwest would travel to Governor State in round 1. St. Xavier would travel to St. Francis. St. Xavier travels to Indiana South Bend. St. Ambrose, or my apologies, Trinity Christian to Olivet Nazarene. St. Ambrose to Indiana South Bend. St. Xavier to St. Francis. And then Indiana Northwest to Governor State. That's how the playoff picture looks as we speak here. About 8 minutes and 45 seconds left to play in this one. Small collects it down low and beating Jack Voigt to score to make it 46-35. Back to an 11-point lead for the away side in the gold uniforms. Here on top holding it is Adams. Dishes it off to Voigt. Voigt to Adams. Adams calls for Krubel. He collects it. Now to Kepnick. Back to Krubel. Swinging it quickly to Adams. Back to Krubel. Going to work off a screen. Tries to drive. Back out on top is Adams. Flips it back out to Krubel. Lost a handle on it. Able to flip it off to Kepnick as the buzzer expires, but able to win it back. Shot clock resets. Another three this time by Krubel. Won't fall. Both teams not extremely well from downtown in this one. As Jokum over to the wing to Harrington. Now Small tries to drive, kicks to the corner, gets it back to Harrington. Floats it to the high post. Small back out to Sims. Sims will attack, flings it far corner. Harrington will unload, won't get it, but Small will. Backing down Voigt with a hook shot, just a tad bit taller. Not much Voigt can do there. Voigt standing about 6'5". He's got a full 5 inches on him in the post. So Ogunsanya will try to attack. Dishes it back out to Kepnick. Back to Ogunsanya in the near corner. Wanted to shoot the three. Can't quite get some space. Feeds it inside to a cutting Voigt. Goes up and scores. Couple of the bigs going at it here in the last couple of minutes. Makes it 48-37, back to an 11-point lead for the Fighting Saints. Turbo had that deficit down to 6 points, middle part of this second half. But the Fighting Saints remaining resilient, trying not to lead to another overtime affair against Viterbo. As an offensive foul against DeMarcus Moore, battling with Colin Adams down low. So Viterbo wins possession back. course, USF, the University of St. Francis, leads the all-time series against Viterbo 4-0. Picking up 2 wins last year and on their way to picking up another win here upon their return or on their entrance to the CCAC. And even when they were non-conference opponents, I believe the first matchup was way back in the 1990s, and then in the later 2000s as Colin Adams, a little hesitation, able to work past his defenders and scores. 6 minutes left to play here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium. As Small on the elbow, bounce pass back out to Jokum. Jokum slides it to Harrington. Now down low to Small, back out. Harrington open for 3. Won't get it. Adams rises up to collect the rebound. Pushes it up the floor. Working against 3 defenders for a moment. Now dribbles it out of harm's way. Gives it up to Landon Thousand. Gives it back. Adams will try to attack here against Moore. Back out it comes to Voigt. Voigt on the handoff to Thousand. Shot clock down to 10. Thousand continues to attack. He gets blocked. Gets it right back. Now to Krubel. Back out Thousand on the corner 3. No good. Moore with the board. Now up to Harrington. As a devious post move. Wonderful spin by Small. Make it 50-39. Final 5 minutes left to play here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium. Of course, not the final game here at home this year for Viterbo. Have Calumet right here at home on the weekend as we have ourselves another timeout, so we'll step away. 4 minutes, 47 seconds left to play here in this one. Viterbo trails 50-39. Fighting Saints looking to pick up another conference win here on the V-Hawk Sports Network. Back here on the V-Hawk Sports Network, 50-39. St. Francis in front of Viterbo. They've scored 30 points here in the second half to stake their claim. As for Viterbo, only 22. Trailed at the break 20-17. And St. Francis came out hot to start the second half, and that has carried them a long way in this one. So Connor Casper out on the floor. He'll flip it in here to Delshawn Sims, senior from Louisville, Kentucky. Coming off of a 6-point performance against St. Xavier. He'll get it into Nanali. Nanali cut off, double team. As a 3-ball unloaded and drained by Dakota Jokum. Redshirt senior from Joliet, Illinois, right in town. Didn't have to travel far for a little extra schooling. Makes it 53-39. As here is Kepnick. They work it around here to Thousand. Thousand stuck with it for the moment. Gets to Fletcher. Hands it off to Kepnick. Kepnick will rise up. He'll knock it through. Kepnick having himself a pretty good night here. Beg to say he is the leading scorer. Online stats have gone down for the time being, but I assure you, I think at the end of this game we'll have a total for both sides, and we'll give you those as they come through. But 53-41, a foul by Colin Adams, his second personal in this one. And Sims set to inbound, floats it in high to Merrick Small. Gets it to Jokum, now to Nanali. Over to Sims, feeds it inside here to Jokum. Jokum in the short corner, rises up, won't get it. Ball batted up in the air until it's collected by Fletcher, finding Thousand. 3 minutes, 30 seconds left to play. Great find by Thousand to find Colin Adams to make it 53-43. 10-point ball game. Still a little life left here for Viterbo perhaps. Need a stop and a score. Really blow this one a little bit closer. Jokum on top to Casper, over to Nanali. Nanali picks up his dribble, fires it off to Sims. Here is Small now in the high post. Dishes it off to Nanali. He'll fire up the three. Doesn't miss a whole lot of those. But neither side proficient from beyond the arc in this one as Fletcher gets a rebound, tries going coast to coast. He gets cut off, dishes it off to Krubel. Pulls up, long two, off the iron, and collected by Connor Casper. 2:42 left to play here in this one. Casper up the floor, working to his right, hands it off here to Nanali. Back inside to Small here. The ball flipped back out. Working it quickly to the far corner. Here is Nanali inside to Small. Able to dish it off to Delshawn Sims, who drains it. 13-point lead with 2:13 left to play in this one. All Fighting Saints here down the stretch. It's really been their second half. A return to form as a pass inside stolen away by Casper. Able to jostle it free and say scooped up by Nanali. As here's Sims. Slow up the offense here. Works off a screen by Small. They work it quickly. Jokum, three ball, no good. Defensive mismatch here with Landon Thousand and Small, but Fletcher able to slide in and steal it away. One pass ahead to Kepnick, who scores, makes it 56-45, and a timeout on the floor. With that being said, we'll step away with 1:36 left to play in this one. You're watching CCAC Men's Basketball on the V-Hawk Sports Network. Back here on the V-Hawk Sports Network, 56-45 the score. St. Francis in front, leading by 11 down the stretch here. 1 minute, 36 seconds left to play. Viterbo going to need a couple of steals, a couple of stops, and a whole lot of scores to get back into this one. Last time these two teams play, a bit more high scoring of an affair, 83-79 in overtime. Both teams shot over 50% in that matchup. So a far cry from what it was earlier in the year, as able to get that steal for a moment, but Merrick Small. It tumbles to Nanali, who dishes it off, and the emphatic slam from Merrick Small makes it 58-45 with 1:10 left. Might have just taken the wind out of the arena. It's a drive. The floater does not go. Rebound by Moore. One long pass forward to Small. Back-to-back dunks. No, I'll just lay this one up. 60-45 with 55 seconds left is Colin Adams with the drive and the score. The inbound comes to Nanali. He'll dish it back here to Moore. Stuck in the backcourt. One pass forward to Jokum to break the press. He'll take his time here, dribbling around, trying to avoid the would-be foul. We'll have to put up a shot, however. Likely one last possession for Viterbo in this one. Kick to the corner. Here is Nanali. Shot clock down to 3. Tries going baseline. Too much time on the drive and a shot clock violation. And it will be turned off for the final 22 seconds left in this one. Ball tipped out of bounds. Will stay Viterbo away. Viterbo will be unable to match their conference record of last year of 7-13 with a loss here tonight. In fact, they couldn't with the most recent loss as Landon Thousand able to score. That one makes it 60-49. Final 14 seconds. All St. Francis has to do is cross the timeline. As Jochum will be the man to do it. He'll dish it off to Denali. And that'll do it here from the R.W. Begg Senior Gymnasium. A 60-49 victory for the Fightin' Saints in this one as they collect their 19th win overall and their 14th win in conference play. Not a bad performance in the second half for St. Francis after only scoring 20 in the first. Storm out and are able to collect the victory here in this one tonight. So hoping that maybe we have some numbers for you. It doesn't look like we have any update as it sits, but we'll tell you about the other games going on. May have finished in the CCAC right now in the men's slate. Get you ready for everything you need to know for this weekend, the final weekend of the regular season. So Trinity Christian, as we mentioned, an 87-73 victory over Holy Cross. Calumet says currently at the half. I don't believe that's correct, but they lead 43-34. We'll have to get an update on that one. Late in the second half, Indiana Northwest in front of Indiana South Bend, 53-45. 45-36 at the break for Governor State and San Ambrose. Looks like every single game on the whatever program the CCAC uses is down at the moment. So I'll have to likely check in tomorrow for all the scores and the stats from around the conference here tonight. It's a tad bit unfortunate because of, well, you know, it's so close to the tournament time with Indiana Northwest and Calumet battling for what could be that final 8 spot in the conference to get into the conference tournament. So big game for Calumet coming up. They travel here to Viterbo on the weekend. But St. Francis with the win. They're back to winning ways after coming off of a loss to St. Xavier. They'll be back at home against Indiana South Bend to wrap up the regular season. They still got their eyes on the conference title, perhaps, with Governor State in front of them by a game. But as we mentioned, Viterbo back here at home on Saturday, senior day against Calumet. Calumet needs a win to potentially sneak into the 8th spot and to get into the CCAC tournament. They need some help with Indiana Northwest losing, however. With that being said, that pretty much does it for us here on the VHawk Sports Network. I'm Cooper Lipsky for No Way. Viterbo falls in this one to St. Francis. With that being said, we say good night, so long. We hope you tune in again this Saturday on the VHawk Sports Network.